in January of 2019. And of course, by November, we had earned our $50,000 ring in the CDL marketing space. And it is a space that is very, wants you to learn what you need to do, very, I feel, easy to market, because our drivers know that they need something. We just have to inform them and educate them as to what we do and how we do it, and then they'll buy rather than you having to sell the product to them. And so with that, I have been named a field trainer for the Central Texas and video trainer. So if I can ever help anyone, don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lamar.
Well, thank you, Mr. Randy, and welcome. And it's a great honor, as Randy said, to be on the call here tonight to share information. We call them nuggets. And so we hope to share a lot of nuggets with everybody on the call here tonight. And I've been in LegalShield for about 14 and a half years. I've been selling the CDLP membership for a little over 11 years now. And I've been a trainer for about 10 and a half years. And during that period of time, I've earned my 50,000K ring and the 100,000K ring. And I've opened over 100 different trucking companies out there with the things that we talk about here on Monday night and that we're sharing with everyone. I just sold the 5,000 membership in the first quarter of this year. So that's one of the milestones that I was trying to hit. I'm part of the Special Forces, and as Randy indicated, part of the Emerald Elite, the Solution Emerald Elite group. So it's just an honor to plug in here on Monday nights and share information. I do sell in the arena of transportation. I'm running in that lane, and I'm selling all of the different products that we have out there in transportation. I sell the CDLP, the legal plan, ID Shield, the business plan, the gun program, all of those products you can sell in transportation. And there's just so many selling opportunities in this arena. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Robert. It's good to be on the call.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can now. Yeah.
All right. So great. I love it. I love all the training, I hear you over there showing off, Sherranda. You hear Sherranda? She said, I'm the #1 field trainer for the year. She got that golden award. So good stuff there for training people, helping people build their business as it comes to business solutions. Super excited for everybody. I'm Robert Dunbar. I've been with LegalShield for about 10 years. Used to train on the networking side. Now I train on the business solution side. Love CDLP space because one, there's not a whole lot of people there. And I like that space because it's different. When you go into that space, it's a different approach to going into the regular legal and identity theft space. So in the legal and identity theft space, we're selling a product to the employees so that their lives are better. In the CDLP space, the way I look at it, and I know some of the other trainers do, is we're going in to sell a product to the truck drivers to make the company more successful as an entire company when we go in the group space. So I like the different approach. I like how it's got its twists and turns, but it really does help with the safety scores and the insurance. And a bipartisan of that is, hey, we've got to help the drivers in order to help the company. So I really like that, where on the legal and identity theft side, you're going in to really help the employees. And that's kind of where it's at. Like, I'm helping the employees so that they have a better lifestyle. And when legal situations happen, they have access to an attorney. Here we're saying, hey, company, let us help you. But as a bipartisan, right, in order for us to help you, you have to allow us to put this product in your driver's hands, if that makes sense. So we discussed all those different things. So today we're going to be talking about some different articles. One on driver shortage. I think Randy Hooker and Lamar are going to be talking about some of those articles. Me and Sherranda may chime in. If any other trainers jump on, they may chime in as well. And then we're going to be talking about what you should be doing next. So you're saying I took the CDLP certification. but I don't know what to do, right? I'm certified, but I'm not qualified. I don't know who I should be talking to, whether I should be talking to an individual truck driver, whether I should be talking to a group of truck drivers. What is a group? Is a group just a bunch of truckers in a parking lot that I talk to on one time? Or is it me going to a company and opening up a group? So you guys need to understand exactly what you're doing in this space. So we're here to support you with that after you've taken that certification training. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Lamar and Randy, because I know they have some articles they want to talk about. So the floor is yours.
Mr. Randy, why don't you jump into the break week and I'll talk a little bit about the driver shortage.
Okay. Let's see. Let me pull this up. Can everybody?
Yep.
You are muted, Mr. Randy.
Yeah, now you can hear me.
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it. Yep.
All right. The thing here is, this is an article, guys, that as we're going in and calling on our companies and asking for the person that does the D.O.T. and CSA point violations, once we start talking with the person, the safety manager or whoever they give us to, this is an article that we can drop off. If we've already been in and talked to them, we can take this back by. We can also take this and give it, email it to them if we have to, if we're working on a deal with COVID or whatever, where we're actually working through online stuff. We can email this to them. But what this is, this come out on October the 27th. And it is the report from, if you'll notice here, August the 23rd, 29th is the event of Brake Safety Week. It was the brake safety check that they did nationwide on the trucks for that week of 23rd through the 29th. And we had that flyer that we took out to everyone and let them know that it was going to go on. This is the report from that you can take it back. And they put over 5,000, actually removed 5,156 trucks from the highway with an out of service violation. And this was 12% of the trucks. They stopped over 43,000 during this week blitz. And like it put over 12% of them out of service. And what they were looking for down here in the article, and this is something that you can point out, that's the reason I've highlighted it. And I'll be putting this article in the file section on our Facebook page, as well as one on the one that Lamar is going to be talking on. I'll be putting both of these on the Facebook page for you. And down here, this is a Word document that you can change the name down here for you. And so therefore, that's what I want to make sure y'all change to y'all's name. But down here, it shows that it was what they were looking for, what the inspectors were looking for was chafing on the brake lines and brake hoses. And a total of 6,600 hose chafing violations were reported. And of those, 1,012 were out of service. And so once again, it was all over the nation. And if you look here, it says the most intense states, Texas, Virginia, North Dakota, and Montana. So guys, this is a really good handout. Put your name and that phone number on it, the website or whatever, and never hand out anything, of course, that doesn't have your information on it. And I'll get this posted on the up on the files page here in just a few minutes.
Hey, Mr. Randy, while you're talking about that, if you would please talk about what chafing is. You got a hose up under the truck and they write a violation for it, for a chafing violation. What is that?
That's basically a shaving or a cracking and splitting of the hose that has been either exposed to weather too long or and it's starting to crack and what have you.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, that is a brake line that runs back. It could be rubbing against the frame of the truck, or it could be rubbing against another hose. So when that officer looks at that, and if one side of if it's round and one side is flat, they're going to write a ticket for that. Or if they see a crack in it. So those are, I mean, this brake inspection thing is really an intense inspection. They have a lot of out of services on brake check. So, and again, like Randy indicated, these articles are awesome. If you're new coming into our space of transportation, these articles are great articles you can use to go into customers or prospects. So, Mr. Randy, do you have the driver shortage article handy that you can put up?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Just a second. Here it is.
Okay. Well, I'll just remind everybody, about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we had about 100,000 driver shortage in the U.S. And this article that Randy found, and I think this is a great thing for us to look at. And right under the trucks here that you see, the little yellow truck there, it talks about the driver shortage. Driver shortage is dismissed by some as a function of low and irregular pay and demand required for day and weeks away from home. So they say that's one of the causes why drivers are leaving transportation is the pay and being away from home. That's one. The shortage is made worse by the older drivers leaving the business. So this pandemic has caused us more risk with the older drivers. And we do have some older drivers driving out there, 18-wheelers and so forth. And so they may be very concerned about the COVID-19 and they're leaving transportation. So that's another reason. And this other one here is a big factor, is 26,000 drivers had failed drug testing mandated by the Fmcsa and the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Now, this is a clearinghouse that they just put in place. The drivers have to register in that. Some drivers have not applied. And so this can eliminate a driver. So, and the other big reason why the need for drivers out there is the CDL schools. 25% of the driving schools are shut down. So all of these are great factors, big factors that affect why there's a shortage. So trucking companies are looking for drivers. And I know Mr. Randy, I've talked to him, and I have a couple of companies that are really hiring a lot of drivers. I mean, they're hiring every driver that they can find and bring into the company. Other companies that were kind of, let's say, had a full load of drivers, they're losing a few drivers, but they're making sure the drivers they have is making good money. So there's a lot of different strategies companies are using out there. But the drivers that they do have on the books, they're making sure they're making good money. But we wanted to share this article, which came from Mr. Randy Hooker. And if you, I think a little bit lower, Randy, you'll see Randy's name on this. There you go, right there at the bottom. And you'll be able to put your name there. So Randy, thank you for making this available. And Mr. Randy is always good about finding some articles. And here is 2 more articles that you can use to help prospect and to take care of your customer base. So, Mr. Robert, do we want to just go right into the next steps?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say let's go into the next steps and start talking about. And if you want to head it off, you can. We can pass it around to each other. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into that, guys. So what we're gonna talk about now is what's next. Like, you certified and you really don't know what to do from here. And I don't care whether you got certified on the 24th or whether you got certified last year and never did anything. the question is still what's next. So go ahead, Mr. Reynolds, you can start off.
Well, I wanted to introduce to someone that's on the call for the first time, and that's Miss Williams. And I probably can't pronounce her first name. Dayons Williams.
Hi, it's Dionaja.
There you go, right there.
Thank you.
And, yes, and thank you for being on the call. And this is your 4th month, right?
Yes.
Okay. And she and I had a good long conversation today. And a lot of our associates go through training and now they're ready and they're eager to get out and be successful. And so just like Miss Williams, she's saying, hey, Lamar, what do I need to do? So would you like to dialogue a little bit on that? So, and many people that's on this call here tonight are new as well, and they have the same desire that you had. But could you just kind of repeat what you asked me today about what are the next steps?
Sure. Well, first, I'd like to say thank you. You really took time out of your schedule today to answer my questions and go over some things that I should do before I get out there. So I really do appreciate that. I sent Mr. Reynolds an email pretty much saying what he said. What do I do now? I took the course. I don't have any background in the trucking industry, so I didn't know where to go, who to contact. And he gave me some basics that I need to do first, some training videos. I'm looking up some of the files that are on the Facebook group, just learning the process before I actually get out there. Because while the course was very good, there was still so much that I walked away not knowing. So we talked about that, talked about connecting with the Monday night calls. Also, I need to continue with some other courses, is it the EBCT? I may have that wrong.
Yep, the group.
Okay. Getting some of the forms from my back office and from the LegalShield store, some things to put together like my clipboard and some plastic sleeves, just a lot of really good nuggets. I took about 2 pages of notes just from our conversation today. So it was very helpful.
Well, thank you for being on the call here tonight. And I'm sure you'll be on each Monday night. So just welcome. We welcome you on the call. So us trainers, we're talking about dialoguing on this. This is kind of be a little tag team exercise between all of us. But going back a few years, we had a lot of associates, just like Miss Williams. They completed a CDLP training. Now they're getting ready to make their first call, and maybe they don't know what to say, and maybe they don't know as a decision maker call what to say and what to do. So that's why I started inputting the decision maker script for transportation and the transportation clipboard. And you'll find both of those on the Facebook. And so the transportation clipboard has some articles and documents there that will help a new person. And I can't leave home without mine. I tell this story pretty often. I was all the way across Houston, 30 something miles over, and I realized I forgot my transportation clipboard, and I drove all the way back home to get that because it's that important for me, because it really walks you through what you need to talk about, and the prospect or customer can see right there on the clipboard what you're talking about. So tonight, we wanted to talk about these are the next steps after you go through your CDLP training. And as Ms. Williams just indicated, this Monday night call is a great place to land to continue your education. It is a must. Okay, that would be one. The Facebook, which I turned her on to that is another. And that is just loaded with nuggets. And if a person got into the Facebook, they could probably stay plugged in there for 3 months, 6 months, just reading and watching videos and stuff that we have available. And as I was talking to Mr. Randy, and I'll let him talk about that a little bit in detail, and that's understanding the product. And I'll get Randy to talk about that. And also the transportation language. And I'd like to just toss it over to Mr. Randy and let him start off with those two, Randy, and maybe you can toss it over to Sherranda and let her talk about some. But we want to give everybody on the call here, especially if you're new, and hopefully you're making notes of these things that I just said and things that Mr. Randy is about to say and Sherranda is about to say. Mr. Randy?
Thank you, Lamar. Whenever we go into the transportation industry, one of the things that your drivers will notice almost immediately is if you don't understand their language, what is an OTR, an over-the-road trucker? What is an end-load driver? Where he drives from one point to the next point and then lays overnight and then drives back the next day. That they drive end load. And of course, a lot of that you go over in your training classes and they talk about it, but this is something that we need to learn some of their language, their lingo and their chatter and stuff. And if you understand that, if they sense, we all know, I think as everyone knows, the people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And to win that trust, part of that trust is knowing their industry. And these articles help you do that. There's a lot of articles and a lot of information on the Fmcsa website. You can go to the Fmcsa website. One of the documents I want to pull up here just a second. This is just the facts for drivers, guys. And it comes from the Fmcsa website. It's where I got it. And it talks about the carrier's pre-employment screening and what that is and why it's important to the drivers and how an employer has to have their permission to check it and those type of things where there's a lot of the times in my presentation, I'll ask if they've had their check their pre-screening employment record from the Fmcsa, and a lot of the drivers don't know anything about it. And what that is it's the record that the company can pull to see what's been on their record. If you'll look here, it says it's for 5-year crash and 3-year inspection history. And it's in the Fmcsa database. And so therefore, some information will get on there that is wrong. And a lot of the drivers don't even know that there's a PSP out there and that they can pull it. They can actually go to the website, this website, www.psp.fmcsa.dot.gov. And for $10, they can pull their record. Whenever they know that you understand that industry and are once again able to educate them as to what's going on, this is when they start taking your word for stuff. Well, whenever we talk about right here, the lawsuit in August of 2014, that gives us the right to help them with the adjudication. Whenever they understand, guys, I'm going to stop. Whenever they understand, guys, that you are educating them and you're staying abreast of their industry, they start believing what you're saying about what your product will do, and then knowing what you can and can't do with your product from your product knowledge. And then they start filling out the application whenever you're talking on your presentation before you ever get through. Ms. Sherranda, I'll let you get in there.
Hey, Sherranda, when you come up, could you just talk about, and I know you got something in mind to talk about, and that's great. Over the road, what that means, owner operator, what that means, and a company driver, because there may be some very new people that don't know what those terminologies really mean.
Well, over the road, OTR, over the road, meaning that driver normally can be out sometimes weeks, 3 weeks, 3, 4 days, or maybe a week. I'll say a week. But he's going from state to state, multiple states, because you have regional drivers too that may go, maybe about 3 or 4 states. But normally they regional. Sometimes they can come back home the same day, but mostly it's the next day. So, and then you have your local drivers. Those guys, they go home every night. So you have different drivers out there on the road. You have company drivers. That means that the company owns the truck normally. Or sometimes the person owns their truck, but they're leased on to the company. They're driving up under their authority. And that authority means that that's where the truckers have permission to be on the road with the Department of Transportation. So you have your owner operators as well. Those guys normally own their trucks, and they normally drive up under their own authority. So that means, that can be one guy, and he's his trucking company, and corporate allows us now to open that as a group. And then you could have owner operators that have other drivers where they own that one driver owns multiple trucks and he has drivers driving up under his authority. Or you could have those individuals as well. Maybe they own their truck, but they are they're driving up under someone else's authority. So you have different things when it comes, those types drivers out there. And so you can look at them differently. So, with me, I look at those guys as business owners, small business owners. So, we can cross sell and sell them business plans. Even if that guy's is leased on to a company and he owns his truck, he's still a business owner because he's having to make decisions about his truck, which is a business. So he's having to deal with the mechanic, and other things when it comes to his truck. So he's a business owner. So you can sell him a business plan as well. You can cross sell with that guy who is leased on to a company. But definitely your owner operators who own their trucks, you can cross sell with them. And like Randy said, the language is so important in this industry. So, you can tell when we have a class, a lot of people start popping in your inboxes, asking you questions. But, they're saying, tickets and things like that. We have, Mr. Dunbar has been so great about this Facebook page and, these platforms, that we have under announcements on the Facebook page. It's the first post that's on that Facebook page, and it says announcements. And, as independent associates, you just got the attention to detail is so important, but it says announcements, and under that announcements is a lot of your most important posts. Randy's stuff is scrolling, but like, we have calls all the way back from 2018 that were recorded that has some great content. So if you really want to be a student of this industry, you would take the time to listen to those old calls because you'll get so much information and training from this platform. And, Mr. Dunbar, he records each call. Now that we're on Zoom, it's still recorded. But what I learned, like Randy talked about the language, and I think it's in the file section, and that's how I know people don't pay attention to stuff. But if you go to the file section, you have so much stuff. Randy just named off some language, some words that we use in the trucking industry. It's a file in the file section that has truckers lingo in it. It's about 3 pages of the most common used words in the trucking industry. That will educate you right there alone. I remember when I first came to the Facebook page and saw it, I printed it out and studied it. And, you know, it just helps because when those drivers realize that you really don't know what you're talking about, you lose their interest. Now they realize they know more than you. But when you can come to them and educate them, then you have a referral partner forever. And you know, you just don't know the strength in this industry with relationship building, because they don't trust everybody, because they feel like their experience is everything, their knowledge. But when you realize and talk to them, you realize that a lot of times you know more than they do, and educating them is like giving them, you know, gold. So that's one thing I want to say. Language is everything. Prospecting. Mr. Dunbar just put something, and I let him talk about that. But what I will say, when a new associate comes to me after they've taken a training, this is what I recommend for them to do. Get plugged into our CDLP Facebook page. Get on the coaching call. And I know you guys are here about the accountability call, but I think being on this coaching call is the most important thing. The accountability call is overwhelming. It's language that you wouldn't know what to do. Staying here right now, learning, getting your feet wet, learning the industry is where you need to be, because, you know, Lamar and Randy and Dunbar and all the trainers here teach you how to move in the space. But plugging into this page, the Facebook page, this call is very important, and listening to those replay calls and listening to the training done by Lamar about the SAFER report, how to read those SAFER reports, because it's one thing to prospect cold, but if you got you prospecting cold with a cold prospect, that just ain't gonna move. You can prospect cold, but you can have a hot prospect and close that person really the same day. It's a difference. So that's what I recommend people that come to me or call me or pop in my inbox. You know, those are the questions I ask. Facebook page, coaching call, recorded calls, and that SAFER YouTube video. So how about that, Lamar? Is that good?
That is very good. Very good. And I think Robert's going to talk about prospecting and list and so forth. Robert?
Anything else? You got anything you want me to cover in particular?
Well, I think the making your warm list, you know, you just completed the training now. Where do I go sell? And so maybe you could cover that.
Yeah. So what I want to say is, like, one thing I'm a proponent with saying to people is, you know, low hanging fruit. There's an easy way to do things and there's a hard way to do things. And sometimes we get stuck in saying, well, somebody said do this. Well, somebody else says you don't have to do that. Well, guess what? You don't have to look both ways before you cross the street, right? You don't have to. It's probably in your best interest to, right? I was told a long time ago that lightning strikes, right? So few times that you don't have to worry about it. But if you go to the golf course and hold a metal rod in the air, it's a chance that you're going to get hit by lightning quicker than somebody else, right? So we believe in low-hanging fruit and understanding the idea that if you go after what's easier to get, it makes prospecting easier. So I put in the chat and on the Facebook Live the link for the video that we shot, the training that we shot, and we do one every year. This is the second one that we've done. And that training has Lamar Reynolds on it. It has Catherine Pouliot on there. It has Sherranda Ivey on there. It has myself on there. And the main speakers are Lamar Reynolds and Catherine Pouliot. Lamar Reynolds has, obviously, you guys see, several years of experience in opening groups on bank draft and LegalShield and prospecting through transportation clipboard and all those things. Well, Catherine owns a safety management company, and she goes in and does third-party safety management the same way they have HR companies that you can hire to do HR for your company. They're not your employees, but you can hire them as a third-party HR rep. Well, she's a third-party safety management company that helps with audits and data queue and making sure that the company's safety score is good. And she's also a LegalShield associate, and she speaks on that training. Why am I telling you these things? Why is that linked there? Because in my opinion, before you start prospecting, you should understand how to pull safety scores. You should understand what companies are dealing with, because how do you give somebody a cure when you don't know why they're sick? So my motto when it comes to prospecting is give them the disease and then give them the cure. So when a person says, how should I create my prospecting list? Who should I go after? Well, one, you need to know who you're going after, right? Are you a foot doctor, right? Are you a doctor that deals with the common cold, right? Are you an ortho? Are you an ear doctor? Who is your customer, first of all? When somebody calls me with a trucking company with 4,000 trucks and you've never even opened a group in LegalShield, I'm not going to help you because you're prospecting the wrong. That's not your prospect. That's a prospect, but it's not your prospect because you don't even understand what that company needs. You have no idea what their safety score is. You don't have no idea on how to deal with the tickets that they're going to receive. So when you prospect that company, you're prospecting the wrong company. When you call me and say, my brother's, sister's, uncle's cousin owns a trucking company with 30 trucking drivers, and can you help me get in that company? No, I can't. Because you don't know anything about this industry, and I'm not going to help you go into one company one time to close one deal, and then you're going to leave this industry. I'm not here to help you do that. I'm here to help you prospect correctly by going and pulling the company's safety score, understanding what's wrong with the company so you can add value. That's what sales is about. Adding value to that company. And how do you add value if you don't know where they're lacking value? If you don't know that that company has an issue with their safety score because of their vehicles versus because of their drivers, when you don't know whether it's hazmat or whether they don't even do hazmat and that's not an issue, then you're prospecting the company based on a speculation. And that's what makes you look salesy. If I go and I say, hey, Mr. Lamar Reynolds, look, man, I've got this really nice gold chain. It's got a really nice charm on it. Man, your wife will love it. And Lamar says, I don't have a wife. I'm not married. I said, well, maybe you can give it to your daughter. Your daughter will love it. He said, I've got 2 sons. And see, now you're running out of stuff to say because you just assumed this man had a woman in his life, and he may not. Now, for those who are on the line, Lamar Reynolds is married. He's not available, just so y'all know. Just an example. But just so you guys understand, you can't go and prospect and speculate, not understanding really who you're talking to. So the very first thing you should be doing is watching that training video to understand what it means to pull a safety score, and then pulling companies and looking at how many vehicles they have, how many drivers they have, what does their safety score look like as opposed to the national average. Are they having issues with their drivers? Are they having issues with their vehicles? Or are they having issues with both? Are they getting speeding tickets going 15 miles over the speed limit, which makes it a serious violation? Or are all their violations 6 to 11 and it's not that serious of a violation? And is all of the issues that they're having, all equipment stuff. So you know when you're talking to the company that the drivers are driving good, but they got crappy vehicles. How are you addressing it from that standpoint? Are you going after flatbeds and 18-wheelers get into the most trouble? Or are you trying to go after people who drive vehicles who don't get pulled over? So when somebody calls me and says, hey, I know some construction companies, I say, when the last time did you see a crane pulled over? When the last time did you see a ditch digger pulled over? If the vehicles that you're going after aren't being pulled over, then they're not sick. Why are you trying to give them a cure? So how do you find out who to go after? By getting on that training and finding out what a prospect is in the first place before you make your list to prospect. Because you can't make a prospecting list if you don't know who you're going after. And if you don't know what questions to ask them when you pull them. Because one thing you don't want to do is overwhelm yourself by saying, I'm going to pull up all the companies in my area. No. Create a list based on, I'm going to go pull up D.O.T. numbers in my area. And then once I got 30 of them, I'm going to now check each one and find out what the real prospects are. Who are the hot prospects that are saying they got 13 vehicles and their safety score is in danger? That is a situation. Sherranda, I see your hand up.
For the new people, I'll come back on what you said. For the new people, looking up the companies gave me confidence as a new person moving in this space. Just knowing the information about the company, because I've done it the other way, because I didn't always know how to research companies. So I did it the other way, and it was harder. It really was, because you run into a driver and you start, saying the things that you think you should say. And like you say, they said, that's not me. I don't have those problems. I hadn't had a citation in years, you know. And then you're trying to come back with something and you find yourself stuck. And me personally, as a new associate working in this space, that would make me not want to work in this space, because you get told no so quick, because you're not saying the things that piques their interest, because you're pulling things out of the hat. But when you take the time and watch the video that you're talking about, Mr. Dunbar, you learn how to get those hot prospects. And, Lamar teaches you how to, talk about those things, not to be the attorney, but just to have conversation with them. It brings you confidence as a new associate moving in this space. So I'll say that off of everything that you just said.
No, absolutely. No, it does. It's a psychological. It builds that confidence. So these are the two examples. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Lamar. So if there's some more things that we need, pull in and talk to together. But look at these two examples. So I want to prospect, and I'm talking about making a list. I'll make a list of flatbed companies or 18-wheeler companies, and I say, I'm going to put 10 on my list, and I'm going to go after these companies, right? I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to talk to these companies. If I don't pull the company's information and I go sit down, I take the script that Lamar Reynolds had created, and I get in there and I say the script, and then here comes that safety manager. They come out, they shake my hand, they want to know how I can help, and I tell them what Lamar's script says to say, right? And we'll go over Lamar's script, and then they say, okay, so we do have some issues. So like, what can you do for us? Okay, now you got ammunition, because you didn't pull the company. You don't even know what's going on with the company. So now you're stepping over yourself, and now you rambling, because you don't know what to say. And it's like, well, we can help you if you're getting these citations and violations. If your drivers get a ticket, they can open up the app and they can say, now you're selling, right? Or you say, oh, well, we got some really great attorneys and they'll help you all over the country. And all you got to do is pick up the phone and call the attorney, and the attorney will help them with the ticket. Now you're selling. Now you're selling LegalShield again. Or you say, well, I want to come in and I want to do a decision maker appointment, and we'll talk about how the product can help the drivers, and then it'll help the company too. And now you're selling again. But if I pull the company's information, now I'm coming in there with the cure. And they say, well, how can you help? And I say, well, before I go to a company, I always pull their information, because my job is to make sure I can help that company get better. And what I saw was that you guys had about 5 or 6 tickets that were more than 15 miles over the speed limit. I don't know how many you normally get. I just looked at the last 6 months. But for what I've seen, have anybody fought those tickets with an attorney? Or did they just allow those to just be over 15 miles over the speed limit? And that safety manager says, I really don't know whether they used an attorney or not. I know they got those violations, and if they get 2, we let them go. But I don't know whether they use an attorney. I said, well, let me give you an example. Let's say those same guys got those tickets, and our law firms went to court and didn't even beat them, but just got them reduced to under 15 miles over the speed. No, 11 to 14. And it wasn't a serious violation for all those drivers. And it didn't take a hit on your safety score as much, because it wasn't a serious violation. When we're talking about quantity or volume, because that's what you guys are looking at, what everybody's doing, that would be less of a hit on your safety score if you had all violations that were not serious versus serious violations. Plus, now you're not talking about another one being a suspended driver. Does that make sense to you? Does you see where that can make your job easier? See, now I'm not selling them LegalShield. I'm solving their problem. And how do I know that problem exists? Because I pulled your safety score first and saw that they had those violations. And now I can speak to those violations. And now I'm not speaking to them about LegalShield. I'm talking to the safety manager about the company that he does safety for, which is his job. If the safety is going well, he probably or she probably keeps their job. So you see the spin in the conversation. Because I investigated the company, now I'm talking to them about their company, not talking to them about LegalShield, because I don't have anything else to talk about but LegalShield, because I don't know anything about your company. So that's how you end up rambling about sales as opposed to solving a problem, which is what we got in business to do. So with that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Mr. Reynolds.
Okay, so we've already covered some great information here. So we know that the Monday night call is very important. The Facebook page is very important because there you can find the decision maker script for transportation groups and the transportation clipboard. So everybody that's on this call should have a transportation clipboard. And maybe we'll do and we've done it before, maybe we'll do it again, of going through the transportation clipboard and the correct order of the documents on the clipboard. So we'll cover that in an upcoming meeting. So understanding the product, and Mr. Randy and I talked about that today. So going through the CDLP training, they do a pretty good job of going through the product, but you need to really understand that product as well. The transportation language is really key. And then understanding, over the road, owner operator, company drivers, all of that. And now the next thing that I'm going to say to you is really important. And I'm sure these other trainers will agree that you should get plugged in after the first year. When we start doing live trainings again, you need to come to one of our live trainings. In that live training, you're going to learn so much more than you did over the internet training, okay? Online training. You're going to learn so much more in the live training. So I really encourage everybody to get plugged into a live training in your local area. So that's going to be very important. And then as a new associate goes through the CDLP training, they come out, maybe they don't know how to get applications in. Okay, they wrote an application. What are the different ways that you can write a membership? Okay, so we know that we have a universal application that is for bank drafts. Then we have a payroll deduct application. So you can do an application. And if you're just starting off and not group certified, like Ms. Williams, she can invite someone to her hub site to sign up in the hub site at $32.95 with a $25 enrollment. Okay, so you can do that, or you can do a paper app. Once you get group certified, now you can go into that group and you can write paper applications, memberships. That ensures that you turn those in and you'll get the group discount. So how do you turn in an application? So in the back office, you need to get with your upline. And in our live trainings, we will cover this for you as well. You can scan and upload that application into our processing at our home office. And if you enter that application before lunch, it will be processed the same day. And if it's a credit card, debit card, or bank, is what we call a bank draft, and it's processed today before noon, it's going to be in your bank account tomorrow. Okay, so so you just got to learn the way to submit your applications in and the different ways. Now, once you're group certified, you turn in, you upload that application, that goes in, or you can have an enrollment link designed for your group. And so the drivers at that group can click on the enrollment link, fill out the application like your hub site, and they get the group discount. Mr. Randy, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I wanted to let you know, and I've learned this the hard way. And so be sure if you're doing a credit card application, be sure to ask your client if it is a uploadable credit card. In other words, it's not it's what they prepaid credit card. Yeah. If it is a prepaid credit card, the company will not take it. So just be sure that they have a bank account attached to either their credit card or debit card, or use the bank draft information, because they will not take a prepaid credit card at the company. And
so Mr. Randy, if a driver is filling out the application and he's open to doing a bank draft or credit card or debit card, which one are you going to encourage him to fill out, and why?
Whenever I encourage them, I always encourage the bank draft, because it doesn't have an expiration date on it. And therefore, if the credit card or debit card is compromised, his plan will not go into pre-cancel. And so we do encourage the bank draft, but we just need to make sure that if they are filling out the credit card part, to make sure and ask if it is a prepaid card or not, because that's the worst thing, is to go in there and you've sold a membership, you've got it on paper, and then you turn it in and they call and say this membership won't go through because.
Randy Hooker.
Yes.
Hey, just to stay with that, what you just said, make sure, guys, that the client isn't being slick. What I mean by that is, they will tell you that their prepaid card has a bank, and there are banks that back the prepaid cards, but they still prepaid cards, and LegalShield knows that those banks back prepaid cards. So if it's MetaBank and there's a couple other ones, MetaBank and some other ones, they're banks, but those are still prepaid cards. And they still won't accept them, even though MetaBank is the backing bank. I think there's a couple of other ones, 3 or 4 different banks that are banks, actual banks, but they're still backing prepaid cards, and it's not going to clear. And you don't want to mess your numbers up.
And the easiest thing is do you put money on it, or is it just a card that you're able to use? Yeah. If you put the money on it, then it's a prepaid card.
Okay, so let's just talk about, we only got a couple of minutes left. So we've covered a good bit of information here. So what's the advantage of doing a bank draft versus a payroll deduct at a group? So once you're group certified and you open in a group, you can do a payroll deduct or you can do a bank draft, either one. So in transportation, it's taken me a while to convince a lot of people this, but there's a reason why I do a lot of bank drafts. Because in transportation, there is a higher turnover rate of drivers that have those memberships. So when they have a payroll deduct and they leave that company, that membership is going to stop. Good luck on trying to catch that driver and convince them to convert that membership over to their credit card, debit card, or bank. But if you, and you probably will sell a little bit more memberships at a payroll deduct up front versus a bank draft. But let me explain the bank draft. Bank draft, they're paying with their bank, credit card, or debit card. But when they leave the company, they're taking the membership with them. And our membership, they get to keep the discounted price of that company as long as they stay in that membership. Now, if they ever cancel the membership and they won't back in and they're not at a company that has a group discount, they're going to be paying $32.95 with a $25 enrollment fee, not $29.95. And so once I started to learn transportation and learn about the bank draft, this is the way to go. So you sell them the membership, they take it with them as they're leaving. We have the new driver orientation class, and Mr. Randy does a great job on selling those new drivers coming in. And I try to sell the double memberships at my new driver orientation classes. And I'm in that class every week at my companies. And I'm selling the new drivers coming in. So ladies and gentlemen, they got my membership as they're leaving, and I'm selling the new drivers coming in, and the drivers leaving leave with my membership. So that's why I sell the bank draft to transportation companies. Probably, I'm gonna say as high as 90% of all my transportation companies are bank draft. So that's the reason I do that. Mr. Randy, you got a statement there?
No, I was going to say that's what I do also. We do that, and whenever you're doing that, let them know, let the people know that they're getting a discount through their group, because the group that you're putting are working on them with the bank draft, and let them know what the price of the memberships are outside of the group, and they're saving money. And if they buy them together, they save about $75 a year on the Life Events Legal Plan, and they save at least 2 months of the commercial driver's plan up front for the first year. So the savings they understand, and then they can it's portable. They can take it with them, and they're already paying for it, so there's no lapse in coverage.
Sherranda, you want to make any closing comments? Our time is up for tonight.
No, no, that's good. I'm thinking.
Have any questions?
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm sorry. So Mr. Tim asked a question. So Mr. Tim, CDLP is no different than the legal plan and ID Shield plan. So wherever you find the contract for those, you find the CDLP. We do have a contract, same thing. Yes, we do. Yeah, we have a member contract for the CDLP plan. Yeah. So it might be different now since you got your new wall site. I can't tell you right now. I'll find where it's at, and I post it on the CDLP page for you exactly where to download it from. If somebody knows, you can unmute and where the member
member apps are in the
not the apps. No, you know, your contract, your plan details.
Anthony Norris has it in the screen, Miss Ivy.
Where can you find it?
It's located. Yeah, it's located just when you go onto your wall in the membership. When you're looking for your plans, go into CDLP, and there's a section where you can click on for the contract.
It say plan details, right? Don't say contracts.
Yeah, no, it'll tell you yes, so you can get it. So actually, I just printed that out yesterday.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's where it'll be at, sir. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Anthony.
No problem.
Anthony, that military man, basically that military man knows that, don't he? Oh boy.
All righty. So that's it. I just wanted to answer that for Mr. Tim. He was looking for that. So
thank you, Sherranda.
You're welcome, sir. And one thing that I do, I'm not gonna hold him pass it over to Dunbar, with what Randy said and Dunbar said about those prepaid cards. You know, I normally you know, when somebody's writing, anytime when I sell a membership and I ask them how they're gonna pay, they'll say with their card, and I'll say, well, what bank is that off? And you know, if it's not a Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or something, you know, a bank that I'm aware of, I will Google that bank. And or I'll say, do you walk up to it? Like Sharon, do you walk up to that bank and make a deposit? How you make a deposit with that bank? You know, so yeah, because people will try to trick you with that those other banks. So
hey, Sherranda, I'll just say this before I toss it back over to Robert. A lot of drivers, where they say, well, I've got a credit card, but I don't have my banking information. Well, I started to find out these drivers on their cell phone can go and access their bank account right there on the cell phone. They got the bank account number and the routing number right there in the phone.
Absolutely.
And a big high percentage of them, and I stumbled across this, I don't know, maybe last year. And so I just encourage drivers to grab their phone and go to their banking information. There is the bank account and the routing number. They can put that right on the application. So I want that banking information on my applications.
And if they know their account number, you can Google their routing number. So
yeah,
you know,
that's right. That's
So-
exactly right.
And just so you guys know, so there's no mistaking, because we have this all the time. We hear Lamar Reynolds saying bank draft group. You hear me saying bank draft group and the other trainers. You can still take a debit or credit card. It's not strictly bank draft. I'm speaking to Adrian Smith's question. Don't they need to know their bank draft and their routing and account number? Not necessarily. If they got a debit or credit card, then they can use that, and it's still opening up a bank draft group. We're just saying we prefer to get their bank draft information, routing and accounting number. And should they know it? Yes, they should. But if they don't know it offhand, like Lamar just said, they can go to their bank app and it's right there. And also, guys, don't be mistaken by that either. A prepaid card still has a routing number and account number. So don't let them tell you that because they've got bank draft information that is not a prepaid card. Because prepaid cards still have bank draft information as well. So that is not an identifying factor. Because those people still get bank deposits to those cards, but they're still considered prepaid cards. Good?
Well, good, Mr. Robert. We'll come back with something good for everybody next week. So please come back.
And yes, Pat, they can. To answer your question, Pat said, before we go, guys, can they put their debit card number in as a credit card number? Yes, they can use their debit card. Like they can put either number in for debit credit because we're going to take either one. So yes, absolutely. So guys, so make sure you guys are subscribing to this channel on the bottom right-hand corner. You can't see it right now. I'm talking to people that listen to it on the recording. So if you're on live, what I'm saying to you is not going to matter. On the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you hit subscribe. And then when we do these live trainings, you will get a notification that this live CDLP training is going on. If you subscribe there, hit the notification bell. And also last week's training and the training that we suggest that you take, if this is a new environment for you, those videos should be showing up right now as we speak. So again, if you're listening to this on a recording or you're looking at this on YouTube, not live like you are right now, then you should see those two videos popping up that shows the call from the number 10 CDLP strategies, number 10, and the